So my tenure at Platteville has been pretty illustrious. I was a 31-game starter. One of them was at quarterback, 30 was at Boulder, so that's how illustrious it was. Been pretty proud to be there and see this transition. Receiver drills today, and we're going to get into some stuff here. A little bit of philosophy, but we're going to do some drill work too as well. We run spread offense. That's our big key. So we have to teach our receivers to do some things. And one of the things that's the biggest task for us is how we beat man-to-man. I'm assuming in any type of game situation, no matter what you're doing, no matter what offense you are, you're going to see man-to-man. And it's one thing to beat zone. We'll talk about a few things, but our emphasis for today is going to be some man-to-man stuff. Philosophy we'll buzz through quick, not to bore you too much. We want to attack our defenders, and that's going to be pretty simple in understanding, and it should be pretty common knowledge. You're going to have the attitude, and it's not an attitude of a prima donna, I guess, and we still got them, all right? You try to take it out of them, but we want that attitude that you're going to be fearless, give me the ball, that sort of stuff. Now, there's a fine line between some of those things, especially when you're talking about quarterbacks, like able to communicate. Our slots especially got to be the talkers, all right? They're going to be the problem solvers, and it was pretty humbling for us a couple of years ago when we had a slot receiver checking plays because our quarterback was just playing, and the slot goes, no, we're going to run this play. Okay, but he was able to communicate because he had that knowledge and understand how to do that correctly, not only plays, but also techniques, what you're seeing on the field. Because you're going to see as a coach, I think, the big picture most of the time. Was it cover two? That slot receiver is going to say, Coach, he's inside leverage on the snap of the ball, he's flying across. Right? So you can kind of help out and do that stuff. Know your role. If you're out there and we have four of them again, or every single play, right, there's going to be one showstopper, all right, there's going to be one bill, as we call it, all right, and then there's going to be a Swiss Army knife, a kid that can do it all, and then there's going to be your role player. Just like in basketball. If you have 5 superstars, it's nice, but it's also a headache. And I think one of the big things that we try to tell those guys is, okay, you run a 5.440. We will never throw you a fade. This kid over here runs really fast. We'll probably throw a fade to him. Okay? And they have to accept that because that's what they gave. Now, if you all got 5.4 guys, which we might, all right, you got to find a way to which one does the vertical the best, and now you start using different technique things. Be explosive, be prepared, all right, be physical, block. A good game for a receiver is 8 catches. We're going to have 65 plays in the game. You got to be able to block. And a lot of times, if you can't block, you won't play. It's pretty simple for us. And then ball security is important. Most of the time, they're going to be the explosive player. You're throwing the ball 40 yards downfield. The worst thing you want to do is make it into a long punt. We want the ball after we have that play because it's a huge momentum shift in things of what we're doing and how we're taking a look at it the wrong way. All right? We believe in the 6-second rule. So if you're huddling or no huddling, whatever it is, all right, we're going to ask a few things of you in 6 seconds. What's your alignment? Doubles, trips, empty, different formations, whatever it is. What's your assignment? All right, what's your split? Coverage and sight adjustments. I think these last two are going to be something that you focus on with juniors and seniors that have been in your program. The first 3 is a day 1 freshman, assignment, alignment, football. At the end of the day, it affects what you're doing. If you watch us enough, you're going to see, okay, why is that slot outside the hash? Well, because he's doing this. Why is that slot inside the hash? Because he's got to do this. We're okay with it because we'll also use that to disguise other things and do different stuff off of it. All right, so you got to have it. Everyday drills we have. All right, everyday drills that we're going to do is a simple fade drill. And this is more pre-practice stuff from what we're doing. Our guys will come out, and it was one of my biggest pet peeves as a quarterback playing for Platteville. You'd come out and you'd be throwing and pitching, catching with the guy, and the receiver's here, he's handing it off to the quarterback. The quarterback throws it, and everything is stagnant. Nobody's moving. You're not going to be maybe 1 or 2 times on a curl or something that you're going to be sitting here. So we're going to run a fade drill at the beginning of each practice. So whenever kids get out there, it doesn't make a difference. I'm not the one policing it. These are stuff that they do every day. So we're going to run that fade drill where you're going to have a quarterback here and a quarterback here. All right, end zone is usually here. All right, we'll put our centers involved in this too. So you have your big boy snapping if you're shotgun or even under center. Your quarterback's taking his footwork, and we're going to be on the hashes. All right, we're going to be on the hashes. So the receiver's going to be here for him. He's going to be here for him, and they're going to work on fades, slants, outs, posts, whatever route you want to work that day. It starts with fade because those kids understand how the drill works. So he's gonna complete the pass, hand it off to the center, and you're just gonna make a big circle with that, right? And it's not full speed, all right? These guys are warming up, but we're gonna try to get catches in, and you're still gonna do the same thing, but I want my guy doing as many slants as he can, if that's what you do. I want him doing as many fades, as many stops, and everyone seems to be moving. Now, one of the reasons I did it is I might be obsessive compulsive a little bit, but I just didn't want helmets laying around, and I didn't want to be kind of lackadaisical before practice. It gets them in that mode of saying, okay, it's starting to be go time. All right, we're going to do stuff. They love doing that. And this is stuff, again, guys, that we don't do in practice. Why? Because if you're a receiver, you're going to want to catch the ball. I'm going to say, hey, go get 100 catches after practice. Yes, sir, coach. Right? If I go up to him and say, hey, we caught a lot in practice today, why don't you get 100 blocks in after practice? You're crazy, coach. I'm not going to go block on my own time. I'm going to catch the ball. That's what they want to do. So philosophy-wise, all right, we're going to have these guys do some of this stuff on their own time. Jugs machine, if a kid's struggling, we're going to pipe that thing up, all right, or some type of goalpost drill, whatever it is, basic drills that they're going to do, and then some ball handling, which I think is important. A philosophy of ours is that we're going to teach our guy, and not teach them, we're going to encourage each receiver that comes to UW-Platteville to learn how to juggle. Right now, I can't do it, so I'm not going to show it to you, but Jeff, you're going to help me, right? No, I'm just kidding. Right, not for that one. We won't use it for that one yet. But think about it. It's hand-eye coordination. It's hand-eye coordination and spatial awareness. All right? That guy's focusing on one or two things. There's stuff in a distraction drill, but he's getting how many catches in a 5-minute period when he's juggling. That could be almost 500 catches in about 5 minutes. It's pretty simple, and he's going, and that's what we want to do. All right, we'll also do some tennis ball stuff. Jeff, I'm going to use you for this too as well. Okay, so if Jeff hops up here, and we're going to have pretty simple, and you're going to just be in a regular stance. All right, nothing major. You can just be relaxed. We're going to have a red ball and a blue ball. All right, the red ball you're going to catch with your right hand, R and R, right? Yep. Blue you're going to catch with your left. All right, so we'll sit here and we'll do it, and before practice or in your house or whatever it is, we'll go. So red is always right, okay? I'll throw them back. Right? Right? Okay. Blue is always left, okay? Yeah. All right, go ahead. Come back, that's okay. It's fine, as long as you catch it. I messed it up too. So blue is always left. Okay, one more time. Blue is always left. All right, and then we're going to start making them harder by going across and eventually catching them up. So if your blue is always left, all right, if your blue is always left, you're going to see some things happen. All right, and see it, and you cross them up. Now again, that's good. Yeah, you can sit down. Cool. Now what we do again is just trying to get those catches and see it. It doesn't necessarily have to be a football. Now football is important because that's what we play with, but you're going to get enough of that in practice in what we're doing. Why do I use that drill? I saw Mr. Zweifel when he was at River Falls, the receiver, all right? He was doing that same thing. I saw him in the hallway before the game. And I go, okay, that's pretty interesting. I don't know why he's doing it. And then he caught 21 passes in a game against us. And I go, that makes sense. And he was a pretty good receiver. All right, so it's some stuff that we stole from him, but stuff that they can do on their own. All right, simple stuff. It doesn't take a lot of running and things of that sort. As we talk about some other drill work, the next important thing is their stance. It's pretty important that they have the proper stance from them. Get comfortable. 90% of your weight is on your front foot. And again, we're always going to have our inside foot up, but 90% of that weight is on your front foot. Nipple over knee over toe. All right, nipple over knee over toe, and then both heels are off the ground, head on a swivel, and hands. Can we dim the lights on this one? Yep. Okay. So we see it, and we'll talk about a few different things before we get to drill work. Okay. So we're going to see a couple cats. You're going to see the nipple over knee over toe. All right, and he's not in the stance yet because he's a rocker. I allow that because he was really good. Okay, You're going to see that aspect. You're going to see they're going to be a forward lean. They're not too far on the ground. They're out. Their inside foot's always to the ball, no matter where they're at. They keep their shoulders square and things of that sort. Now, hands is always a big question for us receivers. What do we do with their hands? It doesn't make a difference. If he's off, right? If he's off, it doesn't make a difference. Right? You can have him by your side. If you're here, that's okay. I don't like him here. If some guys put him up there because guys tend to stand up too tall and your nipples aren't over your knees, over your toes. Right? We want to be able to roll over. I want to key this guy because that's going to be our man-to-man guy. We see a pressed corner, things start to happen a little bit different for us. All right? You're going to start to narrow up your stance a little bit. So again, it's 60-40. We'll talk about it. One thing that you're going to notice too is that his wrists are always above the defender's wrists. Always. In man-to-man. And we'll talk about that here when we get the drill work. But we see typical stance, we go from there. That man-to-man stance is what we call a bunch stance. Alright, so we have our basic stance, day one, receiver stuff, and then we have a bunch stance that we'll go over. Alright, slightly closer or tighten your stance. Alright, so it gets a little bit there so you can go side to side. You have some lateral movement, 60%, 40%. Guys, those are numbers. I can't measure that. So you just got to have a feeling for what feels comfortable for that kid. Alright, quicker to bring the feet parallel position and foot fire we'll talk about there from there. So the drill we use, we'll pop the lights back on. Alright, the drill we're going to use is a stance progression that we use every single season, off season. Young guys, old guys, they get this all the time. So we explain to them that playing receiver is the closest thing to a track athlete. And they love it because they want to be fast. Okay? So we're going to get down to the stance and we're going to say, balls to the wall. Alright? We're going to get down to a stance, and the first drill we're going to do is we're going to have a heel to knee relationship. Alright, we're going to have a heel to knee relationship just like if they're running track, right? And who knows stance, with some track kids play baseball, slow as heck, so I apologize if it looks really bad. Alright, but we're going to sit there, and we're going to say, ready, set, go. It's pretty simple. So we're going to sit there, and on his ready, he's going to get up. Alright, and he's going to feel those nipples over his nose, over his toes. Alright, set, he's going to get hands up if he needs to. Otherwise, he's just going to get ready and really recoil this, alright, to go. And then go will be a next progression, but we'll do this 2 or 3 times so he has understand, and he can understand his balance and what he's doing. Alright, and we'll go to some man-to-man stuff where we'll bring it a little bit tighter, so then on your man-to-man stuff, it's going to be on your instep with your knee. So has him start, and you get there, and he's going to be here, and it's a little tighter, a little compact, but we still want to have some weight on that front leg. Right? That's a simple stance progression that we're going to do. Right? Everything's going to carry over. And so we see it and do it. It's simple, easy, now, that's it. That's all we ever do is talk about stance. If a kid starts struggling and he starts getting here and that leg gets tight on him, we'll go back through that stance progression. If he gets too high, we watch film and we say, you're getting too high. All right, go back into what you're doing, and it's got to be comfortable. Taller kids, all right, may lean over more because they got longer legs and all that sort of stuff. All right, shorter kids may be shorter. All right, so we see it, and hopefully we can play it. All right, let's go to, we see typical stance, and then we will, get the lines again. We'll talk about starts. I just want to keep and key typical starts. So you see nipple over knee over toe across the board. Everyone's an off. All right, everyone's an off from here. And you're going to see starts, and something we're going to talk about. All right, is watch how they roll over their front knee. There's no wasted space. All right, now he's got a false step, and again, understand that's the same kid we talked about before. All right, you see the top guy, he's actually pretty good. He might be our best one. There's no wasted movements, and his first aspect is vertical. He turns his foot out a little bit, and it is what it is. Some guys are going to be quirky. Again, I'm not going to be a stickler. This is how you got to do it. What's comfortable and how we do some stuff. All right, how do we do it? All right, so we start to progress from the stance, and we start working starts. Okay, so we'll hit the light up again. All right, so we work starts with that stance and then to our start. So we see it, our next progression on that go is ready, set, go, and then we're going to start rolling off, and it's going to be a 5-yard start. What we're looking for on the start is him rolling over that heel and really winding that thing through to make it happen and pushing vertical. All right, so we put that together. We're going to want to get 5 yards as fast as we can. We're going to want to get 5 yards as fast as we can in how we do it. Now, if a kid is struggling with rolling over his knee, a lot of the biggest thing kids want to do is sit and then relax. All right, so you see a kid, the biggest problem, he's going to recoil and then he's going to try to go. All right, if that happens, we're just going to go into falling starts. All right, so again, he's here, he's already here, you wanted his progression, he's in that aspect, he's going to do falling starts, so he's going to understand how much weight he can put on. Obviously, if you've done track work, it's that falling starts over the top, boom, and he's going to hammer that thing and go and really bring that foot farther through and make that go vertical. So he can realize how much it is, because most of the time when he drops his hips, it's because he's got most of his weight on his back leg. All right? Put that weight on your front leg, fire over it, and make it happen. Okay? Any questions on stance and starts? Pretty simple shit. Okay? Releases. And that's the next key. I really think that's what makes or breaks these guys as far as how good they are and do that. When we talk releases, we're going to talk about stem, stack, to score. Those are 3 things we're going to talk about. All right? Set up the defender, which is man-to-man, attack vertically on your zone. So get there on your zone or go man-to-man. Make eye contact with the defender. All right, we stole this from the Cowboys. Mike Irvin was pretty good. He said he looked the guy in the eyes and he could do this and look and keep running and do some cool stuff. All right, and see it. If you can see the guy in the eyes, just like you're playing basketball, he's going to look at you as soon as you give him a head nod, he's gone. All right, on that stem, we'll talk about some of those things. All right, eliminate cushion, yes, no kidding. All right, get hip to hip, that's our stem. Attack this technique, get to hip to hip, we'll talk about that. All right, turn the defender's shoulders, that's a stack. And then when it becomes stack, we go now to our one-on-one. So we see basic, we're going to key up this young man here to the top. And this is where it's going to be a stem technique. So he's got space. He's going to come down and cover 2. He's going to stem him inside to release out. All right, and so we'll talk about a few drills after that, but I want to see what you're talking about. Boom, boom. See his stem inside, you just saw it. All right, it's that one step that makes it seem like he's coming inside and the defender's hips get locked up. So we see it right there, boom, in and out, and he released with the swim, and we'll talk about that. But he got him to come inside. All right, on cover 2, know what your defense is doing. They want me inside. All right, they want me inside. So if they want me inside, as soon as he goes, he's going to step, and then we can get back outside and get on the line. Obviously, we're able to get out and do some stuff. All right, now you see, more of, again, you're going to see the stack stuff. Excuse me. All right, you're going to see the stack stuff out of this slot right here. All right, you're going to see the stack. It's man-to-man. We all see it's man-to-man. All right, we'll talk through it. We all see it's man-to-man, and he's going to stack him, and the tight's going to help. We see it. He's going to work. You're going to see him get inside and get stacked, and then he's going to run down the lane. We're running 4 verticals here. That's the route you're going to see. You're going to see him come inside, watch technique. All right, he just beats him with speed, but our stack happens at the end. All right, our stack happens more at the top of the route with the vertical. All right, you're going to see it from here as we get going, and you'll see him coming through. All right, the picture you're going to see is our guy is going to be right on top of his. We'll let it go through, and the stem is for zone, stack is for man-to-man to beat him on a fade or a vertical or what have you. You see the couple like in the picture here. So eyes, you see that picture where boom, the defender's directly behind him, all right, and he can go. We don't want the defender on the hip. We do not want the defender on the hip. The defender's on the hip, he can come and do whatever we want to. We want to be what we say, hip to hip. And again, we'll talk drills with it as far as how we go, because that's what we're here. Hit the lights, Jeffrey, my man. Okay, so we'll use a release drill circuit. I think if you're going to take anything on it today, this is the one for receiver drills that you might like. All right, so we're going to see it, and we're going to set our guys up, X, W, Y, Z, or however many receivers you have on the sideline. So we're going to use the lines on the field. All right, so this is the sideline that you have. All right, that's going to be your yard line, yard line, yard line, yard line. You're going to have dudes in a line here, and then one guy here, or press. Okay, and from there, and this is how we're going to set these drills up. Now the ideal is we're going to use those lines for a reason. We don't have a line today, but that's okay. But that's going to get us there. If we're running routes, we want to stay in the line. The first route we're going to talk about is a fade. All right, so if we're running a fade, and if we start on the line, we want to end on the line. All right, so the easiest way, we're going to say the ball is here. All right, the ball is going to be here in the middle for all these guys. We're in doubles. If he's on the line and he's in man-to-man, he's in a mirror technique. All right, so Jeff's with me. I'm the receiver. Ball's inside. All right, I'm going to take an outside release. I know that 100% of the time. All right, he's on the line. So my first step off the ball has to be here. All right, has to be here. And we're going to get a 45 because as soon as I go here, what's his job? Well, coach, the defense has to stay hip to hip on man-to-man. All right, so he's going to do what? Come in, right? And as soon as he does that, my line is still out here. I'm going to push vertical until I get to him, and then I'm going to make something happen and get there. All right? But I know by that stem, and that's what we're talking with off technique, all right, I'm here. All right, I'm here. He's going to stem, boom, 2, he's off the line. I'm getting there. He shows hands. I can rip, and I'm right back on my line. All right? He thinks he did his job, but in reality, he set us up. So again, the route, as far as how we're taking a look at it, he should be stemming here, getting vertical, getting around him, and then at the end, get him stacked. All right, at the end, get him stacked. And we'll work this drill once a week, all right, especially if we're seeing man-to-man. All right, so again, we're here, we're going to work that stack, boom, boom, boom. He's here, bam, we get through. All right, we'll talk about rip, punch, things of that sort. And then when he comes in a trail, if we're trailing and Jeff's still inside, that's a no-go. We want to get here, so when you see that picture from the tight, Jeff and I are hip to hip on the back side of things, and he can't ever work through me. If your quarterback throws it short, that's not a receiver problem, that's a quarterback problem. Okay? Going from there as we take a look at it. So again, that's when we'll start working off. Now, what's the question? He's man, so Jeff and I, all right, he's going to be man-to-man, and we're going to do this. You know what's going on, he knows what's going on, all right? It's about to go down. You're going to tighten up your stance a little bit. And again, one of the reasons I talked about, you want to keep your wrists a bit of his wrists. So he's a defensive back. Ideally, hopefully receivers are taller than those defensive backs. I hope that's a problem that you have. That's a good problem. And so naturally, the defensive back's not going to sit up here like this. He doesn't know that. All right, so his hands are going to be somewhere, put them wherever you want to put them. All right, so we're going to just work hands right away. And what's the defense going to try to do in man-to-man? Get to my chest, right? He's going to try to get there. So as soon as he does it, go ahead. All right, I'm going to hammer him down. All right, I'm going to hammer him down however you want to do it. All right, understand if your wrists are above it, below this, go ahead. So go and try to lock in. Be good, be physical. I'm okay. All right, I can't get him out, right? Now do the other way. Get underneath me, engage. Go ahead, push. All right, I can take him off. All right, I might have to give up some room in man-to-man, but that's okay. But I can always chop down. I'll be able to break his hands. And this is where we become physical and aggressive. You can't always chop up. All right, so we'll work that first release, and we're here, and all he does is shoot hands, and I'll go here, boom, okay, boom, boom, and start working whatever I'm working. Now on the flip side of things, we're going to talk about punching through. Some guys want to swim. You saw one of our guys swim. I tell them, if you swim, you better damn know what you're doing. All right, you better know what's going on, because the biggest fear is as soon as we swim, he gets underneath me, I'm off my route, and it really sucks. But what we teach is we're going to punch or rip. Now understand a couple things. These guys have habits from when they're 3 years old. Playing a receiver and doing whatever and seeing some stuff. They're going to do whatever's natural. But for a kid that doesn't, he shows hands, boom, I'm going to punch. And as soon as I punch, right, I get his shoulders turned. So it's here, punch, boom, I'm going to take that step. As soon as that step's through, my elbow is going right to his kidney. All right, and he's going to be my propel, and I'm going to start working stuff through. Again, obviously we over-exaggerate, but it's a simple drill. It's not running 40 yards. So one more time here, boom, here, bam, and I'm out the gate. And we want that elbow in the back of his kidney so he can propel himself off, because as soon as he does that, he gets stacked. If he doesn't do it, he's off here, he can turn, and a good defensive back's going to be able to recover and do all that sort of stuff. So we see it, and we take it. Now, why do we bunch stance? All right, and this is something that we've learned over time and do that stuff. Most of these guys are long, right? When we are man-to-man, the first step is going to be here. Okay, so we're even. All right? So if we bunch step, our first step can be here to get him off the line, it can be here, or it can be here if you want it to be. Right, but you have to attack his technique, because most of the time you got to see what that defensive back is doing. Right, those defensive backs at times are either going to be aggressive players and go after it, or they're going to be a shuffle player. All right. One thing we teach on man-to-man is foot fire. So we'll do the same drill, all right, and we're going to do foot fire, boom, 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 and he's not going to do anything until his hands move. All right, and again, I don't have a good representation of it because I'm not very good at this. All right, but we can get you some when we film it. All right, we usually don't film this drill. When we're sitting here, boom, and I'm going to foot fire. As soon as the hands are go, I'm going to be gone. Because what's that defensive back do? He gets antsy, right? You're supposed to collision. He's taught something. Whatever he's taught, you see it on film. All right, so you get a collision. As soon as you foot fire, his hands go, boom, I'm out the gate, and I'm doing whatever it is. All right, you can punch. I like punching. You can rip. All right, that's our second. If you swim, just know what you're doing. Now, that's the big thing for us and what we're doing and how we're taking a look at it. And we'll work it. Ideally, we tell them to stay in the line. All right, stay in the line. Now, let's talk about slant. Okay, let's talk about slant. The ball's inside. Let's move down here. All right, the ball's inside. It doesn't make sense for me to come inside with him if I'm running the slant. This is something where we may differ. All right, we're going to stem him outside. We're going to stem outside. He opened up his hips. 1, 2, 3. Bam. And I just open up that window to my slant route. All right. If I come inside, what's he do? Flattens me out, and now there's no technique involved. There's no top of the route. There's nothing. All right. So again, you're going to play games with them, and that's where you see it. Where do I show our guys? All right. I show our guys some former players. Obviously, Huddle's great with that. We get online and we Google stuff, just like everyone else does. Wide receiver drills. All right. Jerry Rice. Yeah, he's pretty good. Do that. Now, we want him to do it. Just like I think at you guys' level, if you want to get some stuff from us, hey, if you want to be a college player, this is what they're looking for. This is what they want to see. Our guys have dreams to go to the NFL. Will they ever go there? Probably not. All right? We don't want to tell them that until after they're done. Okay? So we tell them, hey, you do this, you'll be okay. All right? You do this and you'll be okay. You'll do something. Go ahead. I think you're good for now. Any questions on that release drill? And that's going to be pretty simple. Why do we like it? It's in between the sidelines and the hash. It's a 12-yard window. We don't have to run fades for 45 yards to understand technique. Because your guys get tired. Maybe you only have 6 of them. They get tired. And I know this, if you get tired, your technique goes to hell in a hurry. So work on technique and try to transition it over. Don't make it too hard because it's too hard on you. All right, but you can teach all those different things into those. Route running is important, obviously. Now we're starting to be a receiver. All right, that route running stuff is important. It starts with a great release, so that's why we work releases every week. If you can't get off a release, you cannot run a route. All right, those guys out there will lock you up. Defensive guys will hold, and they don't care. All right, so we'll make sure that you're getting that release. That's the most important. Leverage stem. The big thing we talk about in man-to-man is change of direction, change of speed. You don't have to be a 4.40 to get off man-to-man. You just got to be able to change direction very well and or change speed. The really good guys can do both at the same time. All right, you got to tell your guy you got to do one or the other because, listen, kid, you're not a burner, so you got to change direction pretty well. Put your foot in the ground and do that. Now, some of it also comes into quarterback stuff. Receivers can do everything right, and the quarterback will throw the ball where he's supposed to. Okay, you have to decide as a coach, is that the receiver doing it? Should I change something he's doing, or is it the quarterback? All right, so it's definitely that aspect. That's a basketball term we got from Coach Gard at Platteville. I asked him, when you guys see man-to-man, how do you tell them to beat it? Well, change direction, change the speed. Makes sense. We're going to use it. Right? Top of the route stuff, and I think if you're doing receiver stuff, most people understand kind of what's going on with this top of the route stuff. We're focusing on the top of the route. Now, again, one of my biggest pet peeves is you spend 15 minutes of individual on the top of a curl route, and then what happens when you get to 7-on-7? It blows up in your face. Right? So I think there's understanding the big picture, then technique. We're in technique right now. This is why we do drill work for technique. But make it as realistic as you can. We'll use cones, okay, for this top of the route. You can read all that stuff. It's kind of the same stuff I've been telling you. Finish the route. So I want to show you some top of the routes, and then we'll talk about a few things and how we do some stuff, I believe. Okay. So we see it, and we're going to focus on the Z receiver out here. He's going to run a hitch. Okay. One of the big things with a hitch is we want you to beat the drums, break the glass, smash the plate, whatever you want to do on the top of your route. On a hitch off, I don't care how fast you are, you're going to sell a vertical push. All right? And you're going to see him selling this vertical push from there. Okay, so you're going to see Paul here sell a vertical push, and you see what it does to the defensive back. And it's just a 5-yard hitch, but it's important that he has good technique. Push, 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 bam, bam, bam. And you see him, it's hard, but he's top of the route. He's beating the drums. All right, he's sinking his hips. Anytime you run fast, you sink your hips. Anytime you run slow, your hips go high. All right, so he sees it, and he goes. Now he fades a little bit, but it's okay. So we bring it back to the beginning. All right, we bring it back to the beginning, and just watch the defensive back. It's not very much. He's beating the drums, and he's going from there. All right, so we see it, boom, boom, boom. Ball's in and out, making it happen, obviously off the turn. All right, next route we're going to work on is that slant. We talked about it. Watch his technique. Watch his technique. He's first going to go outside like he's working a fade and then cross his face again. All right, one of the scary things is that guy just sits there. But if he sits there and you go outside, you should run a fade. Okay, so we see it and go from there. We're going to watch his technique here on the top of the route. Watch his stance. Look at how his stance is different because he's a press man. His hands are above his wrists. All that sort of stuff. So if he does come down and press, he's there. Boom. Again, it's not much. It's not a lot. But you're going to see he's working to his outside hip. You're going to see he gets his shoulders turned because he gets on his toes. All right, he runs a slant. All right behind him. You see how that defensive back's got to turn. All right, it's those simple things that you got to break that cushion. All right, you got to break that cushion to what we're doing, what we're seeing. He's going to run a long out now. So a comeback or a 10-yard out, whatever you want to call it, you got something in it. Same kid, now he's a bail technique. You're going to see him, all right, look back, and then play it. Now this is the game he's playing. All he's doing is he's playing a game because he knows when he looks back, the defense does what? Stops their feet, usually. They're ready to drive or they're ready to do something. So he's looking back, expecting the ball. Boom, he's inside leverage, now he's out. All right, that's just the game that Russ is playing. So he's seeing it. All right, going from there, he gets our signal from our quarterback. He's a bail, back, right? Again, you see that change of direction, change of speed. He doesn't change much, but by looking back, all right, he knows now, that defensive back knows that he's either going to go vertical or stop. Again, it's a tough route. I understand that. All right, it's a tough route, so it's pretty simple stuff from there. And seeing it, and we're going to focus on this cat right here. Best route ever. All right. If you're going to run a post, I think you should run a post like this. All right. We call it a shake route, but you're going to see the top of the route. Vertical, for nothing happens. All right. He stems to the corner. He gets his hips turned, and it's only a one step. Hips turn, bang, and then he goes through to the post route, or we call it a shake. All right. So our guys know when you see it in and out, and he's able to do those things. Quarterback's got to throw the ball so he can score. But again, focus on that top of the route. We're not just straight lines. And I think that's the big thing that I want to bring to you is that a post is a post in the playbook. What do? You draw it up as this, and then you draw it up as that. Well, that's what the kids see, and that's what they visualize. If they don't see someone running a different route a different way, they won't understand it. Right? I can't explain it to our guys, so I got to show them. All right, you can run a post just like that, just get his hips turned. It's more of a technique. That's a stem on the top of the route. All right. So how do we do that? One of the big things we want to do is try to put his feet into the ground. All right, put your feet in the ground. The first one we're going to talk about a hitch. All right, and it's going to be cheek to cheek. All right, we're going to run cheek to cheek. So again, we'll line up cones. Okay, and you might have seen this drill before. But at least you know if it works or not, or if we like it or not, or whatever. All right, you're going to see different stuff, and we're going to tell them cheek to cheek, break the plates, break the drum, however it is. So our guys will come through, and they'll make this progression, 5 yards, it's here, and then they're going to back to the line here. All right? And make that noise, make it sound. This drill is best in a Pac-4 or a gymnasium. Right? It's tough on the field because you don't know. In the gymnasium, you can hear the boom, 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 boom. Right? You can hear that pitter-patter. You can see him, and he's using it. As soon as we do this, it looks like we're going vertical. Right? It's a little bit of active and stuff like that. That's our cheek to cheek. We want to keep these things cheek to cheek, just like we're running, pounding the drums, beating the drums, smashing the bug, however you want to remember it for those kids that they understand it. You see it's a Luke Swan progression. We stole this from Luke, and you're going to find out, Coach, do you have any original stuff? No, we don't. All right, we stole this from Luke, who played in Wisconsin. He's a pretty decent cat, pretty nice guy, good resource to have. This is about putting the foot in the ground. So again, like the slant, we're talking about the slant route. Right? We want to see how well that kid can put his foot in the ground and change direction. Right? So again, one of the things we do, if you can step on my pocket, it wasn't too bad. Alright? We're going to start with our left foot, and it's just going to be single leg hops. So he's going to be here, and it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and on his third, he's going to plant and go out at 90. So all his momentum is going forward. All his momentum is going forward, and it should be 1, 2, 3, boom, and he's bringing out his cut. Change of direction, now, change of speed, happens now. You're going to be slow, because again, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, boom, and you're going to sprint out of it. Alright, you do that with the right and with the left. Alright, same thing. Now, we're not running our routes like that, so we progress to it. Alright, so we'll do the bounding cuts. Alright, we'll do those bounding cuts. So it'll be here, 1, 2, 3, boom, and make it happen. Now on that last cut, you want to see him put his foot in the ground, no rounded cuts, nothing up the inside. It forces him to work off of his outside foot, which is what you want. You're going to see change of direction, change of speed. Force him to open up his hips and do all that. The hardest route is going to be the curl or the dig. Do that. Slant should be easy. Post should be easy. But you're going to see that all of our cuts, think of the routes that you run. Fade, we run slant, we run a corner, we run a dig, we run a curl, and some other goofy other stuff that has no technique. It's just more scheme stuff. But those are the cuts that we're getting every time. It's a 45, it's a vertical, or it's right back down the cut, or on an out. You can work all those. You can work 45 out of it. You can still do that same thing. 1, 2, 3, boom, coming back right down to you. Right back down the stem to overemphasize it. Work your routes, because the guys are getting into a mental progression that they see it. Now, is it going to be that way in a game? First time you do it, they go back to old crap. Second time you do it, they're still going back to old crap. You got to believe that they're going to finally pick it up and see it, and you also got to harp on it. Top of the route stuff, I don't think this is anything mind-blowing. When we do it, if you already do it, keep doing it. I think it's good. Again, you're going to work cones. So it's a 3-step slant. You're going to put your cones out, and you're just going to focus top of the route. One of the hardest things for us is the way we run our curl. Right? So we work this one on a curl most of the time. And when we run curl, so you know, our curl is maybe a little bit different. I don't know. All right? We don't run post curl, but an X is out here. He's here, here, to there. That's how we run our curl. And that's how we draw it up in our playbook, too. It's not a post curl and all that other stuff. So we'll put a cone here. We'll put a cone here. We'll put a cone here. And basically make this thing a 3-yard route. It's really a 12-yard route. All right? So it's going to be here. Boom, 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 boom. Here, back, turn. And then ball might be caught by a quarterback or something in that sport. But you make that route that's usually 12 yards and condense it. No different than a post or a slant or a fade or a comeback or a Z out, back in the old school stuff, whatever you think, whatever you're doing. So I think that's important into what we're doing. Then you got to block. You said block, block, block. What's my time? How much do I got?
Probably about 6 minutes.
Jeepers! Are you shitting me? We're just getting started. Actually, I'm dying over here already. So we got block tech, all right? Block attitude, blah, 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 all sorts of stuff.
Take 10, coach. You can take 10.
I love you guys up here. All right? You don't, yeah, awesome. I would say something appropriate, but I'm not going to. I'll keep it to myself. Can you hit the lights? All right, work on block technique and we'll work block progression. And this is going to be the end anyway. So we see it. I want you to focus on these two young men here, and I want you to see how they're doing it now. They're pretty good. You're going to see the same players doing the same things right, which is why they're playing for us, which is why we have success. Right? See the block, see his hands. We're just going to go through a few clips here before we talk about it, and we get Jeff back up into what we're doing. So here you can see it, in and out. You see him battling, mirroring, all sorts of stuff like that. All right, you're going to see him. All right, this is our speech to the kid that we never asked to block. All right, this is maybe the second time we'll hear he's blocked. But watch him. All right, he's off the ball, works release, he sees balls thrown. Now he mirrors, and jostles, and keeps moving his feet downfield. Again, he's not overly strong. He's not empowering him, but he's just staying in front of the guy. All right, our philosophy is just don't let your guy make the tackle, and we'll be okay every game. All right, we got RBIs. We call them. You got an RBI on this, boom, 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 and you're gonna know he did it, but at least he allowed his guy to get downfield. RBIs, extra yards, all that sort of stuff. Key to this cat. It's a press guy. All right, he's technically in a slot and that sort of stuff. It's outside zone. Mirror. Gone from there. Run his feet. All right, and go. A key thing that we're going to talk about, as soon as the ball is past you, he's not throwing his hands up because he thinks he's holding. He's getting them out of there because he's done blocking. All right, as soon as the ball's past you, he's done. Now it's your job to outrun him. Okay, we're not going to try blocking the back, holding, things of that sort. All right, we still do all that stuff. We'll go block progression. All right, so again, you hear a lot of stuff as progression for us, so we're going to work into it. Jeff, you and I are going to roast you both here. You ready to rock? All right, so we're going to get in our stance, 5 yards apart. We're going to do our stance, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come up to him, and you're going to be defense. Don't worry. Yeah, we're not really going to roast you both. You need to. Okay? So we're going to be here on the receiver on a whistle count or whatever whistle. He's here. Boom, boom, boom. And I'm going to hit another whistle. So 2 whistles. First whistle starts. Second whistle, you're just going to be just tall. And then I'm going to start chopping my feet. You guys want to do feet drills? This is why you do them. Right, you're here. Boom, boom, boom. All right? And then whistle's done. All right? I want to see how fast he can move his feet. Next progression. We hear boom, boom, boom. Whistle. I'm going to hit. As soon as I hit, most of the time, this is what you're going to see. Boom. And you're going to see their feet stop. What we want to see is their feet get even more, get louder, they get faster. Because what happens when your feet stop, you stop blocking. So you're here, boom, and you're going to sink your hips, and then you're going to get even farther, even harder, and start to get into them. And again, this is a conditioning period for us. All right? They know it. They hate it. I love it. All right? It's pretty simple stuff. The next progression after that, guys, is we're going to hug you. All right? Most people are trying to lock out, right? As soon as we lock out, what are you going to do with my hands? Boom, yeah. Try to get them off, all right? But if I stop my feet, he's running here, I'm going to run and do all that stuff. It's going to be maybe a different technique, I don't know, but we're going to try to get as close as we can to him. All right, so it's here, boom, boom, bam, so I go, bam, and I'm going to do my power clean. I'm going to get him as close as I can, run on his toes, step on him if you have to, and finish him. But if you land on top of him, it's usually not a holding. If he lands on top of you, it usually is. All right, so we're going to try to get here, boom, boom, here, bam. I'm going to get to underneath of it, and I'm going to try to finish him. All right, now again, you can do work mirror drills. Thanks, that's good for mom. I'm going to bring these alone. All right. We can do mirror, so if you want to put your guys side to side, so you're here, bam, 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 boom, boom, different stuff like that. However you want to do it, we can come out at 45. So again, I'm not going to just be head-to-head with some of our guys I'm blocking. We run now, screen, and bubble. You might come here, bang, bang, bang. And again, we want to get hip to hip. And now we're back into our phase of what we're doing. All right? And then we do towel drills and things of that sort. That's more live stuff. Sled once a year when I get mad that they're not blocking. That's about it. All right? And then the leverage drill is the shoots we stole from the offensive line. If you're an offensive line guy, put them in there, they look funky, and it is what it is. Okay, so again, those are some of the key things that we do every single day, or every single week. It's weekly stuff. But that block stuff's helped us out into what we're doing, moving our feet, less holding penalties than we ever have in the last 3 years since we've used it. Okay? So that should be okay. Cool. Any questions? Yes?
How do you set up your most dangerous man, spacing-wise?
Yeah, so come up here. Jeff, I need you too. Okay. So I'm a slot. We're running now concept. You're the corner. You're a backer. All right. So we're gonna go here. If we're running the now, we're gonna get here. So we're stacked. We want to get a stack alignment. It's easier if you just stack receivers at times. So this is where you can help your guys. But now I'm gonna be head on a swivel. I'm gonna here. As soon as you commit, I'm here, and you say you got to beat him outside. But if we're here and he comes, you go, bam, I'm down, and he's trying to meet you. So you'll just have a in and out. You'll be behind him. Coach will be behind him.
Okay.
Yeah, coach will be behind him. You're saying you're coming down, you're back, you're this way, whatever you're seeing. You're going to be blitzing. You're going to be jamming inside, whatever it is. And so you see leverage. And you can do that with bubble. You can do that with now 3x1 sets, 2x1 sets, whatever you see in the game. We're going to try to move them that way.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Anything else? Sweet deal. That's it.